Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Shalette Cox, and I'd like to welcome you to JAMPRO. We are really excited to have this discussion with you this evening. We want to, as you know, we are having 2 sessions for the sensitization of the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, or the Jamaica Film Fund, as I'm sure it's going to be called. Today, we're really wanting to go through the draft operational guidelines that we have come up with, both through JAMPRO and the Film Commission, as well as through our oversight committee and through consultations with some stakeholders. We want to assure you that what we present today is still open for discussion to some extent. If there are glaring challenges that we have to address, we are prepared to address those. But in large parts, there are elements of it that were approved by Cabinet when Cabinet approved the initiative. So there are some things that we can't change. But as far as the administration goes, we are open to your thoughts and comments, and we'll take them into consideration as best as possible. On Saturday, we'll have more of a workshop type sensitization. We've called in a couple of people that we've called in a couple of people that we wanted to talk to the film practitioners to kind of give some guidance as to what is out there, what is happening in the space, what kinds of features are doing well, where you could be looking, some considerations that you need to be thinking about. We have tax admin coming in to talk to the industry. We have the ministry coming in to talk about what they're doing on the entertainment side, but we also have Paramount is coming
to discuss Helen Moss, Senior Vice President of International Distribution, will be coming in. She's agreed. Her presentation is at 7, so she has a time constraint for 7 to 7:30 p.m. We also have confirmed from Sony Pictures, because I went to Berlin and I was at a fireside chat with Daniel Duboulay, and he's film acquisition executive at Sony Pictures. And I said, would you please? And he says, for you, absolutely.
And it's been amazing, as you can just imagine how many Jamaicans that are in the industry globally have been putting up their hands and saying, we want to help. So we don't want to miss any opportunities that have presented themselves. So we've been getting some of the emails from you guys in terms of the interest for this, and we just want to thank you for the support that you've given us in us giving you support. And I'm not going to take much talking after that. I'm going to hand over to Jackie, and Jackie will do the main presentation. I'll jump in as necessary
where the money is concerned.
And then we'll take Q&A at the end of each section, so that we kind of just make sure that perhaps we can answer the question in a later slide. And then we'll try and move through very quickly. And then at the end, we can take some general discussions and we'll move it forward from there. All right. So over to you, Deb.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm sure everyone is now apprised of the name Jackie Jacqueline Jackson. I am your film commissioner, and I am also, it's a dual role here. I'm the film commissioner, but I also have responsibility of the film, animation, and music department here at JAMPRO. I have not gotten, President, the amount of phone calls this morning about the links and just the emails, but what that makes me feel very overjoyed and excited for this presentation, because the industry is saying that, listen, we're ready to have this conversation. And I want this not to be a stuck-up conversation. As I said, we won't do all the Q&A at the end. So after each section, let's talk, let's discuss. It's a draft. I've had multiple conversations in the last 4 to 6 months, stakeholders at different times. I'm in, Berlin last week and having conversations at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning because it's different time zone, but I have to do what I need to do to ensure that everyone's input is included and that it's equitable. I'm also very aware, as I say, Justine right here, piercing through me that this has been a painstaking sort of initiative, very long to come. It's here and we can do it together. We're going to benefit and we're gonna, I think, no man is an island. And that's why we're having this first sensitization session before our opening, which is March 18th. And I'm getting the emails and please continue. Your input is important. This is not for JAMPRO and me, this is for you. All right, so presentation, we're going to be doing an overview, funding categories, the eligibility criteria, the application process, evaluation and selection, disbursement, and of course, we have to talk about governance because it is taxpayers' money. All right, so JSDI is financing initiative, of course, of Government of Jamaica, and it's aimed at supporting and strengthening the local screen-based industries by providing a pool of funds accessible for the completion of eligible screen-based projects across various stages of development. I'm not going to read every slide word for word because we all have an idea of what this is, right? So core objectives, film financing, providing source of financial support for screen-based projects made in Jamaica across various stages of the screen-based production, spanning local content creation, co-production, and of course, destination films.
I want to jump in there, emphasize screen-based, so it's not just film, it also includes animation.
Talent and industrial development, increasing jobs while building the capacity of creative and technical practitioners by increasing the number of high-quality, commercially viable projects produced for domestic and global audiences. Promotion of Jamaican culture, right? Raising the profile of the Jamaica Screen-based initiatives and brand Jamaica internationally by supporting projects with strong cultural representation. Business opportunities, because we are an agent of the business ministry, right? To promote economic diversification and better position inward investment, particularly for the film infrastructure. Guiding principles, because we have to have those. Transparency, accessibility, distribution of risk, global best practices, adaptability, and inclusivity. And I think I want to zone in on inclusivity. Yeah. Inclusivity in the experience and scope of projects, that is JSDI, will not support projects of blatantly pornographic nature. I can't pronounce it, but for that same reason. Projects advocating violence or projects inciting a violation of human rights.
And for those of you whose creativity hickles just went up, it's advocating violence, not reflecting or showing violence.
Right.
It's advocating and inciting. Those are the verbs that we're focusing on, right?
All right, so the JSDI process. Complete and submit online application with the required documentation, review of applications by the evaluation committee, selection, approval of awardees, notification of awarded projects, signing of agreements, and then of course, the best part, dispersal of the funds. Right? That's the parts you want to get to, right? All right, so funding categories. So development, production, completion, film festival and market attendance, marketing and distribution, and of course, production rebate. So we said a call for application revolving. So where you see the circles, right? On top of the green, those are rolling applications. Because if you think about it, film festival and market attendance is year round. It's the same for market and distribution, and it would be the same for production rebates, right? Development, production, and completion is when the call is open, and we're looking to have that 1 to 3 times per year. And of course,
money permitting.
But money permitting, of course, right? And of course, the call is open March 18 and it ends April the 26th. 28th. All right. In categories in the description, so we need to zone in a little bit here. Developments. The developments, and of course, we couldn't. Oh, yeah. Development. The development stage focuses on research, script writing, storyboarding, securing talent and partners, and raising financing. Production. The production stage focuses on the preparation and delivery of principal photography, which includes scouting, talent services, animation, animatic, video recordings, motion capture, film, and equipment. Completion. The completion stage brings the production to picture lock. So rough cut, film scoring, VFX, compositioning, color grading, audio design, ADR, and of course, the final cut. Film festival and market attendance. This promotion stage generates visibility and acclaim, of course. Funding here will support travel and business development. Marketing and distribution. This stage generates visibility, acclaim, and the opportunity to monetize. Funding will cover specific deliverables required by distributors or sales agents. And then production rebate covers any element of the project that is undertaken in Jamaica. And then we'll talk about that a little bit more, what that rebate structure is. All right, so let's zone in on the amounts for each of these categories. So development, no interest loan, 4 million, ideally for several activities towards a single project. There's also a grant here, which is non-refundable of 800,000 Jamaican dollars. Production, no interest loan, 150 million, or up to 45% of the production cost, or whichever is less. The grant, non-refundable here. If you were looking at the previous presentations and the one that we did on our launch, January the 31st, and even subsequent to that, the presentation that I made at JAMPRO, it was grant 15 million. So when we looked back at the cabinet's approval, it is saying 30 million. So this is where you clap. So it was 15 million for the grant previously, and we've updated that. It's 30 million Jamaican dollars for the grant, or up to 65% of the project cost, or whichever is less. Completion grant, non-refundable. So you see here, there's not a loan, right? And so for completion, film festival and market attendance, it's grants. So for the completion, it's 15 million or up to 65% of the outstanding completion costs. And then for the grant for the film festival and market attendance, it's 800,000 Jamaican. We look at marketing and distribution. That's a no interest loan here. That's 4.5 million Jamaican dollars, or up to 65% of the distribution cost. And then the rebate, 10% of the total budget spent in Jamaica, or up to 1.5 million, which is up to 1.5 million. So the cap is 1.5 million dollars.
And that's the only one that we quote.
And that's the only one in US for, I mean, we should probably quote the marketing and distribution in US as well, just because. All right. Maybe we should ask if there are any questions here for President
There are a couple of things that I would want to highlight in terms of the categories that are loan or grant. That's up to what you apply for. So we're not boxing you into one or the other. And there's a section that we'll get into in terms of multiple applications if you think you need both. We also want to highlight that this is a maximum amount. So, and it's per application. So it's not that we have 150 million in loans to give to production. Each application can apply for up to 150 million, or the 45%, whichever is less. So that's very important to clarify.
Yeah. A maximum contribution to that project.
Yeah. Any questions in the audience?
Tristan?
Guys, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the principles is the distribution of risk.
If you could stand maybe
Yes,
so that everybody can hear you.
Yeah. One of the principles is the distribution of risk. Will there be any limits to how much it can be approved of one single person or one company can be right? how much they can.
Can grant,
CFT
yes.
award.
You mean if they get through
One
with
person
multiple
applies to
applications?
Right, because they have the option of applying for multiple projects. A producer can apply to multiple projects. A company can apply
So-
for multiple projects.
So that is something that we are looking to see when the application process comes out, because if you're applying for different projects, the evaluation process might rank you differently. So it doesn't mean that you're going to, all of the projects that you apply for will meet the ranking, because we're gonna first do the evaluation, which will come up with a score. So we'll know from top to bottom who gets first priority coming down, and then selection is going to be based on the availability of funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here. Can you stand, please?
We're allowed to apply for both the no interest loan and the grant within each category.
Yes.
There's a hand over here,
And there is.
one back here, and then
What, me?
if he's referring to you.
Yes. Yes, you can go ahead, please.
Okay. My name is Marcia Deans, and I'm at completion of my movies, kind of. I've done to, is there any way for the balance of the completion, I could still apply?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Because I'm in the middle of it, and I have to fly out to the camping festival to show a trailer of it.
Right.
So you think,
Yes,
you
you can.
can request a funding.
Yes.
right now I'm trying to shoot some more here in Jamaica, so it's around Jamaica all the way as a Jamaican.
Absolutely.
I am excited to do my
Yes.
documentary of education of the evolution of our music. So I'm very honored to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's really good to put a face to the
So
name,
like I
Marcia,
said,
because we've been speaking, I've
So
been
this
speaking to
is
Marcia.
Marcia Deans.
Really nice to meet you, Marcia.
For the love of reggae, the evolution of our music. It's gonna be shown at Canby trailer. And in 2025, they want me to bring the entire production there, so. I'm
Proud of you.
pretty
Proud of you.
Good job.
Proud of you.
Yes, hello. I'm Robert Wright. I'm actually representing Lennon White, who was able to attend. But one of the questions I have is, will you revisit the online application process again?
So we haven't touched the
I didn't hear
application
that.
section yet, so that's the next section.
That's next time.
So we'll get to it.
Sean, I'm gonna
Let's
ask
go
that
to-
you take and you field some questions, because I don't want to come out of.
Come on, he's.
Yeah, so he'll
So
field next
what we went
first and
through
then.
a while ago is the eligibility criteria and the overview of the program. The next section is application. So when we go through that, if you still have a question.
Then we can address it.
Great.
No problem.
I just was wondering if you would re-examine, so on completion too, if you would re-examine it as a revolving sort of application. like
Okay,
your
which one?
mark.
Well, completion as a revolving.
Because
Okay.
when people reach to the stage where they need completion funding, it's not always at the same time.
The challenge I would say with that is because of the amounts. And we are limited by budget allocation. So for example, if we were to take rolling applications and that rolling application came in and was approved in March, we would not be able to fund until the earliest September.
And
just
So
because.
we have to be locked into the budget cycle for the bigger amounts.
Yeah.
So like Fish Festival, which is 800,000, we can reserve funds for that, but for the bigger amounts, it gets a little.
That's why we kind of push development in that fiscal year.
I just wanted to think that you should have funding amounts. So in other words, if a small amount for completion was needed.
Yeah.
That it could be given so that people could finish
Could
their
finish.
films. I mean, you won't be ready for Ms. D.
Yeah, for cans.
For can.
Yeah.
So it's, it's just that there are smaller amounts, sometimes a couple million just to finish it.
Well, the good thing about it, once we get established, is that we'll have loan repayments coming in, so we'll have a cash.
We'll have cash. We'll have cash.
But this first year, let me speak it into being, Natalie.
Natalie.
Let me
I
speak
think
it into being.
no, I'm just saying that the first.
I know.
borrow.
Yeah.
That's the challenge we have in the first borrow.
Yeah.
So
First
the
borrow.
budget cycle is.
And what I was saying, President Cox, is based on the data and the incoming of who it is applying and what area people are applying to, then we'll just.
We can make a case.
We can make a case for a number of persons who are applying
Yeah.
for and wanting to apply for completion outside of the application window that we have.
Yeah.
That's.
That's.
Yeah.
Sheldon, and then we come to you, sir.
And Sharonda first, please. Hi, Sharon.
Could you explain the rebate, please?
The production rebate.
Yeah, man.
Just
So
in
the
more detail.
production rebate covers, when a production is done in Jamaica and they spend money on Jamaican goods and services. After all the spend is done and audited, we can give them a rebate of 10% up to 1.5 million.
How does that apply to co-productions?
It does.
Okay. So
It does, it applies for all of the categories we mentioned, local productions, destination films and co-productions. So everything that we're talking about applies to all three.
Got it.
Sheldon and then.
Yes.
All right, so I'm just going to be fielding questions for persons online. Most of these are for disbursement, which we'll get to
Yes.
later, so I'll come back with those.
Okay.
But specifically for the funding categories, two questions that mesh. This person is not fully understanding the funding categories. If production costs for a feature film are 1 million USD, are you saying that the JSDI will cover grant funds of 65%?
Yes,
Yeah.
or because 65% is 1 million USD.
Is how much Jamaica? Because we have to remember we have-
No, so it won't, so it's the lesser figure.
Yes.
So if the 65% is more than the 30 million Jamaican, we're covering the 30 million of Jamaica.
So it's that's why we said the whichever is less, because a lot of persons are going to apply and it's going to be over what we're offering.
Right, and then
This is gonna be
connected to that, to be clear, the max per applicant is up to 150 million, and that would be for the production category.
Yes.
It or the 65%. So it comes, it's the or is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
45% of.
45.
Yeah, it's 45% of the production costs. Somebody saw it?
My name is Bruce. I have a question about the process of application.
The next section is application process. We haven't.
No,
gone
no,
through
not
it.
that, just
Okay.
of choosing which funding category to go for.
Okay.
So for example, if you have the idea that you're beginning with, you're the development layer, for sure. But you may have broken it down and have all of your production costs and everything like that budgeted. Would you likely just stay at the development application, hopefully get that through, and then the next application would include production and so on down the line?
You
Yes.
could do it that way, yeah.
Yes.
That's up
Did
to
you
you.
wait until you got through the first layer?
Yes. Because
Because
No, perhaps 20 times.
because there are things that we're going to need at the production application
Exactly.
stage that you would have created during the development
Development.
stage.
Yeah.
So it's very sequential in how we do it.
But you wouldn't necessarily have to go as deep as a budget for your film.
We're gonna get.
yeah, we're
to
gonna
what
get
is
there.
required.
What is
Okay, so
mandatory
the
or
other
optional?
question, specifically in development. My particular process is to do the standard things and also shoot a trailer. But the trailer seems to lead over into production. And I'm wondering if there's any way it could be categorized under the development area.
Yeah, I mean,
Within the funds.
well, that's, yes, so it's a proof of concept. That would be development. That would be development, but I mean, it depends on
If it fits the budget.
if it fits and you could do a production for a short film, because when we look at what is accepted, it could be
So
that
it
your
would be-
proof of
would be
concept
reasonable
could be a
to
short
put that
film. And we'll look at that in a second.
Right.
No problem.
Afternoon, everyone, well, evening, everyone. So based on the categories, and it's close to the question he's asking, is it that based on where your project is, you pick the category that is best for you, and then when you get to the next stage, it's a reapplication process
Absolutely.
for that stage?
Absolutely.
Not a-
So you could be taking it from development straight through to completion.
Yeah.
So you could apply for development, you completed development, you apply for production, you come back for, absolutely, absolutely.
But there's no
Because-
guarantee that you'll get the money at every
No,
stage.
exactly,
No.
because at every stage, you're competing with everybody else.
For that.
For, yeah.
No, he made his question. He did ask.
So I'm gathering that you don't have a specific number per person that will be given the
No,
funding.
and no allocation of funds.
No.
No,
we want to see what will come out of the application process. Because we don't know what is coming. We don't know the amounts that each application will come with. So we don't want to cap the potential before it's even through the gate.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll continue with the next section if there are no other questions.
Questions, we go on to eligibility criteria. Mandatory requirements. Must be a Jamaican citizen, birth, naturalization, or citizenship, or ordinarily resident in Jamaica. And I've gotten about 15 emails about
So
what
that means.
is
So
ordinarily
ordinarily resident in
Jamaica.
Jamaica means that over the past 3 years, you have spent more than 6 months accumulated in the country. So it's a universal definition
Mhm.
and it's verifiable by PICA based on how you enter and leave the country.
It's just think about if you're a US citizen or you have a green card, you're expected to be in the country for a period of 6 months.
If you're a citizen.
No, I was
No,
just,
no,
it was
no.
an example. It was an example of ordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must be registered on the National Registry of Entertainment and Creative Industries practitioners. The both name for e-registry. And this is owned
Entertainment.
Entertainment Registry, and it's owned by MCJETS, Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. So yes, if you are applying, you have to be registered on the Entertainment Registry. It is mandatory. Must be 18 years of age or older. Must be GOJ tax compliant at the time of contract, which means we open on March 18th. And let's say you get to, you've accepted your application, you're called in. And before disbursement, which happens after August, because August is when you get your contract for signing, it means that by August, when you're signing that contract, you have to be tax compliant, which means TCL. This is now the plug for March 2nd. On March 2nd, the Tax Administration of Jamaica will be here presenting, so you can ask the questions of what it is to be tax compliant. So on March 2nd, which is this Saturday, we've invited them, they've accepted. So those questions, and I've allotted 1 hour for TAG. So please take advantage of that. Will own and control the copyright and other rights of the project. So that's intellectual property. Any questions there about individual mandatory requirements? This is individual. Oh, individual, right, individual, right.
Something to note is that these requirements that we have, individual and company, are for 4 of the 6 categories. It does not apply to all the time to marketing and distribution or production rebates. And that's because those 2 categories are open to overseas companies. Marketing and distribution.
Which in the law.
So our understanding of the industry is that sometimes, even though you own the production, you might not be doing the marketing and distribution. You might hire international sales agents to do that work. So we want to allow your international sales agent to apply for the funding in such an instance. Similarly for production rebates, because it's open to destination films, overseas companies can apply. So these criteria would not be applicable in those instances. Both for this and for company. We're holding questions until the end of the section.
Company mandatory requirements must be registered at the Company Office of Jamaica. Be GOJ tax compliant and the proof is required. So you need to be in good standing. Must be registered on the e-registry. Must be Jamaican owned or minimum 51% Jamaican co-owned. Registered to operate as a production company in audiovisual production activities and will own and control the copyright and other rights in the project during development. Actually, that needs to be removed, not during development. Yeah, just project.
Just a flag for you that when we say co-ownership, we're talking about how you register your company shares with company's office. That ownership, not the directors or any, that part of it, just the share structure of the company.
Break down number 5 for me, please.
Remember, we're taking questions at any. So,
All right, other considerations. There may be cases where projects submitted are co-owned by 2 production companies, and we see this happening all the time, right? In those instances, one company meeting the criteria above should be identified as the lead applicant. So you won't need 2 production companies to be applying at the same time. You just have a lead applicant for purposes of completing the application, and then of course, for being awarded the funds. International eligibility that President Cox just mentioned for marketing and distribution, as well as the production rebates, any company registered internationally can apply, but they must meet the product eligibility as well as the other criteria outlined to be eligible for that support, and we'll look at that further down. Eligible projects, feature films, all genres, runtime of 60 minutes or more. Short films, all genres, runtime at least 7 minutes in length and up to 20 minutes. Animated shorts, runtime at least 2 minutes in length and up to 20 minutes. I know we had some discussions yesterday and even into this morning, and it was 11 minutes before. And just to note that this is the most updated operational guideline that you're having before you, and then this will continuously be updated. So I have until March 8th, right? So what I'm presenting is the most recent, and then we'll ensure that this information is updated on our website, because I know a number of persons have been going on the website. So the runtime would have been 11 minutes. And the animation community came out and they said, we want more time. So we're now up to 20 minutes now for animated shorts. Then we are looking at web series, episodics, miniseries, reality content, unscripted content. So yes, documentaries would fall under something like unscripted content. Eligibility criteria applies to live action and animated works. And I know we said that before, but just to ensure that. We don't leave out animation. Ineligible projects, music videos, advertisements or commercial, news and sports or dailies, work that is intended primarily to capture another art form such as theater show, film, sporting or music events, and artist installation, immersive VR, XR work, video games, podcasts, live streamer, influencer content. We're not sponsoring that. And this is based, guys, on international best practices. So now we will field the question.
got one here and then one here.
All right, Rayanne?
Yes, can you tell me a little bit about student projects, if they're eligible? For an institution like UWIC, for example, who would also co-own, the copyright with the students, how would that work? Or can that work?
Absolutely, it can work based on, well, the student is going to be Jamaican, most likely, right? The company is going to be registered, Caramac, I know, Jamaican company. And then most of the projects that you guys do, because I'm also lecturing at Caramac, I know those would be short content.
Yes.
So you're eligible. So yes. Next.
Someone was asking. All right.
Oh,
I thought it was you. But
Daniel.
Number 5.
Number 5, registered to operate as a production company in audiovisual production activities. Well, that's kind of,
what's that?
it was like explaining. What,
When you register your company, you have to register in a category.
yeah.
So that's what we're saying.
Oh, well, you know that, Daniel.
And then remember too that you can register in multiple categories.
Yeah.
So this just has to be one of the categories.
Yeah.
So you can't really.
So when you're-
Association and then run the
So
Yeah.
so my business is not registered as a.
You can add.
Audio
You can
video.
add it.
So you can add it. You
You
can
can add
always
it to your
update it at, I put COJ. Just go down to COJ. You can go down and update it if it's not there.
Sure,
But
you
it
can
should
do
be
that.
there. It's probably there and you don't know. Because it would be ticked off based on,
don't think I have the film production. I don't think so.
oh,
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
you can make an adjustment.
Yeah.
for registration.
yeah.
That's it.
Because when you're asking, I was like, yeah.
Nothing.
And maybe what I could do,
Six.
what,
Right, or you got
Number 6.
number 6. You said you're going to take out the jury.
yes, I was trying to do it a while
You know,
ago.
you know why?
It's not in my document, but.
I have a feeling you should leave it. I mean,
Leave
this
it?
is my
Okay.
personal opinion.
Okay.
I just say it. Sometimes after development, when I come to you with my $10 million feature and you say, all right, we're going to lend it on its development. And then when I go to get it funded, person is funded is given me 9.7, giving me the whole $10 million. Can I not pay back? And because I'm going to hand over.
Yeah.
I teach them.
Mm,
So it's just a matter of, we would have to pay back immediately,
yeah,
whatever was given by government. I mean, I would love to hold on to all my.
yeah, intellectual properties, of
for,
course.
for, project, but it is not all that realistic
There's-
if
and
it's a
feasible.
big project.
And if you're selling it,
I'm gonna sell the project, you know,
That's fine.
okay?
noted. I mean, it doesn't take away though, but,
No, it doesn't take.
so we can say that it's optional then, but not
No,
mandatory.
if the funds have been granted during development,
You're the, okay,
you have to pay back if it is sold.
okay,
No, I think we do have that somewhere in the document that when we talk about, if we don't have it, we need to put it in.
yeah, I don't
We
think,
discussed it.
we discussed it, but we didn't. Thank you, Natalie.
All right, one more question.
Sure, back to, mandatory for the company,
To the other side, eligible
This one?
projects.
okay, right here,
Next page.
oh, ineligible, okay,
Word that is entire intended primarily to capture another art form such as a theater show, film, sporting, or music events. So
Sure.
suppose I'm filming a storytelling event and I want to convert it into an episodic format. That's ineligible.
no, that's different, because that's unscripted.
That's
Yeah, you will either unscripted or it's episodic. So you wouldn't be applying on the, you wouldn't be saying that you're applying for like a music event, if you understand. So you're applying specifically for either the episodic or the miniseries, or you're applying to say that it's an unscripted content.
Oh,
Yeah. But you couldn't just apply just because you want a video for it, video this event.
right.
It's inclusive.
All right, so I have one question from online, but I think it applies to anyone who wants to apply as a company.
Okay,
But from the Black River Film Festival, do we need to be registered as a production company to make applications?
Yes.
What's the question?
Yes.
if you have to be
If you have to
registered
be
as a,
registered production.
yes,
Or whosoever the company is that is putting on the film festival would get to be registered.
as a production company. Yes.
I've already registered a business, and this is just a technical question,
Sure.
but, what if you're just a sole trader, is that fine, or do you have to get?
We have an individual.
Because then that's the
Remember, we have
individual mandatory requirements. That wouldn't be company. if
Or
you're a
are
sole
you
trader.
registered as a sole trader?
Yes.
We have to use the.
Individual mandatory, yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
So with that means we need to change the word.
Yeah, to adjust for sole trader. So the question was, she's already registered and how she's paying her taxes is via sole trader,
Right.
which would be just like how an individual consultant
Yes.
would be paid
Yes.
and they're paying their taxes,
Yes.
not under a company. But we're specific to say individual, not sole trader. So we need to make that, which is something that TAJ could talk about as well. And COJ, Company Office of Jamaica, just to get defined clarification for that.
Sorry, just for company requirements, can you please clarify what the company needs to be registered to do, as in their classification of business?
We only have one here. Register to operate as production company in audio production activities. Just one.
Just need that to be.
That's specific.
Okay.
Yes, that's the mandatory.
And again, I emphasize that company's office allows you to register as multiple things.
Yes.
So this is just one. It just has to be one of the things that you're registered to.
And if it's something that I need to bring in company office to have a conversation about, maybe I'll reach out to company officer as well, just to help with the process, just like how we have TAJ.
Or if we get the information.
So we can just share it, if that's okay, and I'll share it to the industry. and then disperse accordingly. Natalie?
No, this just a simple question. Under our banking regulations, because it's the fund, will we be limited as individuals if we apply to this? I mean, I think there is a limit. I might be totally wrong. A limit of how much money can be dispersed to individuals and not companies.
I would.
Based
We
on,
are checking legislation for
Yes,
the
we're
entire dispersal amount,
Yeah.
because we
I know
still
that
have
even
not,
over a certain amount, cabinet has to approve.
not only that too, but also, that is true. We need to include that in the disbursement figures.
Yes.
But also even whether or not JAMPRO can provide loans.
and I think
Is
that's
something
where-
that
that's where-
There's a lot that we're still working
Yeah.
through, but the good thing is we have banking partners like
Yep,
DBJ, like Exim
Exim
Bank,
Bank,
that can step in if JAMPRO needs
Yeah.
that.
especially
support.
about a threshold.
Sorry, but I just wanted to emphasize what Jackie raised a while ago. The fund is also, there's another step that we haven't put into the process that we will have to, is that any disbursements over 60 million will require cabinet approval. And it's just a matter of
Checks and
process and
balances.
checks and balancing. We don't expect any challenges, but it's a best practice that we want to implement.
Two questions here from the gentleman in front and the gentleman behind. So one without the glasses first, darker blue shirt. Exactly.
I'm curious why VR content is not being covered. If I shoot a short film in VR, why wouldn't that qualify as a short film? What is it? They're saying immersive VR is not, is it not just
said it on the.
Covered by itself, just as a. They are by itself. It does result in a live action or animated.
Exactly.
Show or anything that is covered under the fund, then yes.
So let's say if VR is into a short film,
Mhm.
then that's fine. But
Okay,
if by itself,
Yeah. I think it's
Then
like,
that's
you know, like you do
excluded.
VR for a museum or you do VR.
yeah, if you're just doing VR for fun,
no, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're creating a short
But you can-
film or
that's-
a feature
then
film in
it's-
VR.
then it's under animation.
that would be
And then
Exactly.
just something to note is that if what you're doing falls under both an eligible line as well as an eligible line, it means it's eligible.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if it fits under eligible, just don't
Ignore that
pay
part.
that part.
And film and-
But it has to fit neatly under eligible.
The question I have is with section 5 here. So for the audiovisual production label, does
Yes.
that also apply to sole traders as well?
No,
What-
No,
We're treating
because that's
sole
individual,
traders
as individuals.
Okay.
So we need to, that's something that I'm asterisking in my brain. That's a sole trader again, that same comment that we made. So we're also taking notes.
If
So
it don't even sit somewhere again.
Projected. You want them to project on behalf of those online, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
Use your theater voices, people.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, all right.
Alright, go ahead.
Yes, so I'll get some information on sole trader. I'll just double check and then come back. But that would, for me, when I know sole trader and consultants, that's individual application. It's not company, but I will get that additional information for you when I was doing the research.
So you stated that video games are just ineligible.
Yes.
But they fall under animation
Yes.
and they are under the whole screen.
Yes.
So if I can say, okay, I'm making a video game, it's animation, can I still go that way with the project?
Is it the
Is it the
animation?
animated short? Is it the
Is it the
animated short?
animated short?
It falls under the category animation. So.
No, but is it an animated short?
It would be-
Well, then you answer your own question. Don't you just like when that happens?
No, it does, but I can see for the persons who are video game developers, because
Right.
they're going to say, we are doing animation, but this is how we do it. So aren't we fine?
You know what I would,
Say, no video games.
what I would encourage them to do, if it is that they don't think that what they're doing will qualify as an animated short, is to partner. And it's something that we'll encourage everybody to do,
Indeed.
to complement your skill sets and your strengths find a partner that can get you to where you want to be, because if you can do that section and then an animator can partner with you to actually bring it to life, or another person in the industry can help you, you can do a collective application and qualify that way. What we don't want to happen is that you spend the time to put together an application on just a video game, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So give yourself the best chance that you can.
And tell a story.
Yep.
Tell a story.
Any other questions, Sheldon? You good?
Any online?
Watching them for a section. So
Oh, okay, great.
All right, great, thanks.
All right, application process. Application process, call for projects open March 18. We'll complete the application form, upload the supporting documentation, and then call for projects closes on April the 28th. Application forms and relevant documentation are available and will be available on the dobusinessjamaica.com website. A link to a JSDI folder will be provided upon submission application for you to upload documents and the multimedia file. And basically, we just want to make sure that your information is safe. So we have a specific drive. So after that application process is completed, let's say you have proof of concept, all of the other things that are not included in the application form that you need to upload. When that is completed, we will then respond to you in less than 48 hours, and then we'll send you the link and you will upload, and then we'll vet, screen, and ensure that all is well.
All right. So the application, once the application launches, you get more instructions on that part of the process. Suffice to say that after you get the link and upload, you won't have access.
That is it.
Take it away.
Yes, I just want to make sure that I can watch it straight through. It's clear. There's no audio issues, because files can be corrupted. Just want to make sure that's good. We check everything is fine. Thank you for applying.
And that's part of why we want you to upload it and not.
So then, right? Exactly. Applications for film festival and market attendance, marketing and distribution and production rebates may be made on the rolling basis, as we said before, just an asterisk here, once the initial call for project is made on March 8th. So as soon as that happens, then we'll get into where the rolling application will come into us. All right, this is the nice part. 2 pages here. This is what we call supporting documentation. So here's, page 2. Oh, here we go. So the keys here, Natalie, you told me to put them at the top. You can't put keys at the bottom. All right, so optional document, support material, we have mandatory, and then of course, yes, optional, I said that first, and then we have mandatory. And then of course, DVMT is development, production. So these are all of the areas that you can apply for the funding, right? So let's walk through all of them. Should we go across instead of down? Let's go across. So for the document type, development timeline, clearly that is mandatory for development, yeah? Previous work samples, optional for development. For production, it's mandatory. For completion, it's mandatory. And then it doesn't apply. Where is the dash? It are not applied, yeah? And then for script, it's optional for development. It's mandatory for production. It doesn't apply for the others. Budget, mandatory. Finance plan, source of funding, which includes, of course, cash flow for those of you who sole traders and you have to do your taxes yourself. You will know that you have to always have a cash flow. That is important here. So for development is optional. For production, only for development is optional, right? Shoot production schedule, optional for development, mandatory for production, completion, and then doesn't apply for FF and marketing and distribution. And of course, it's mandatory for production rebates. For the treatment, pitch deck, project proposal, storyboard, animatic, mandatory for development, mandatory for production. It isn't mandatory, it doesn't apply for completion, film festival and market attendance, but it is mandatory for and distribution. And then it doesn't apply for production rebates. Letter of intent, this is commitment of attachment. So if you have a big deal director, if you have a big name actor that is signing on to the film, right? Sharon?
Yes,
Remember what attachment is?
yes, Idris Elba.
Sharon? Sharon. Back here, this is what she remembers. So what's an attachment? Idris Elba. Fine. That is what you're learning from the Film Commission. We will have it. Sharon is manager for corporate initiatives, and without her, this is not possible. Amen. So commitments of attachments, distributors, sales agents. If you have that letter, wonderful. It is only mandatory for marketing and distribution, and optional for development. Writer statements, mandatory for development, not applicable for the others. Producer statements, optional for development, mandatory for production and for completion. Directors and for production rebates, I missed that M. Director's statement is optional, production and completion, it is mandatory, and then for production rebate, it is optional. Document type, page 2. CVs, creative team, mandatory for development, production, and completion. All right?
And rebates.
And rebates, mandatory. For the others, not necessary. Proof of invitation to screen at or participate in an international festival for development, production, marketing and distribution, and production rebate. It's not necessary, but for completion, optional, film festival and market attendance, it is mandatory, clearly, because that's what this one is for.
So just an interjection, the example that you gave, is it Marcia?
Yes, Marcia.
The fact, if she was to be invited to a film festival and just needed funds to finish up completion, that would make it optional for you. It makes like your case stronger. You don't have to have it, but it helps. And that's the thing to remember with optional. You don't have to have it, but if you do have it, it could help the strength of the application. But that's it.
But I am invited to go this year right now to
Right.
do the teaser. and bring
Show the trailer.
distribution. Yes, because we invite them for and 7.
For screening. Yeah.
So that's an example of how the optional versus mandatory can work.
All right. Proof of Jamaican citizenship, and President Cox alluded to it. It's mandatory for everyone except marketing and distribution, and of course for production rebates. And that's the same for proof of registration and for the National Registry of Entertainment and, yes, the e-registry. So for both the residency, the proof of Jamaican citizenship, and for the e-registry, all mandatory except for marketing and distribution and production rebates. Then we go down to financial statements and or bank reference. It's optional for development. It is mandatory for production, and it's absolutely mandatory for production rebates. Proof of relevant industry association, JAMPRO with JAN. It's optional. Proof of tax compliance, TCC, all optional. But here, the caveat, so if not submitted at application, must be submitted at point of contracting if awarded. That makes sense? So it's saying optional here because you can apply to the fund without having your TCC. But for you to get contracted, that happens in August. For you to get that contract, you have to show that you are tax compliant in August at date of contract. Make sense? Okay. So you have little time. And then Company Office of Jamaica, letter of good standing across all areas, it is optional. Application considerations. applicants may submit multiple applications. So I know a couple of persons asked, was it you, Sharon? It wasn't you.
But it was on my mind.
It was on, I had a feeling.
It sense.
Yeah, I sense it. Applicants may submit multiple applications for funding in the following cases. A single project qualifies for funding category and also qualifies for subsequent funding categories within the year of the first application. So that answers your question. And I think your question as well that asked if you wanted to go for development and then you go for production and then post-production, right?
But it have to be
But
within
it
a
have to
year.
be within that year.
Must be that those activities.
Activities are handled within that year because then
Otherwise, you have to apply the next call for application. So, all right, so if you're finishing up development and think you can start production this year, you can apply for both during this call for application. If your production work is not scheduled to start for another year, you have to wait until the other call is issued the following. Yeah?
Got it.
for example, a project qualifies for development funding and subsequently qualifies for production and completion funding, results in one project, but 3 applications. A single project wishes to apply both for grants, that was a question too, right? Applies for grants and a loan under a specific category, such as development, which has both the grant and the loan, and resulting in 2 applications. So you can apply for the loan, which is 4 million Jamaican dollars, and then you can apply for the grant, which is 800,000 Jamaican. So you get 4.8.
So just to be clear, technology will be your friend. We're not gonna ask you to do a whole application for the loan and a whole application for the grant. We have a little thing that says grant or loan or both, and you take both. But they will be evaluated separately. Yeah?
And then you have to have clearly the requisite documents, yeah?
Yeah.
In a risky business with loans like this, how do you penalize somebody who's not paying?
So those are there are set of things that we are going to put in place. And one of the discussions that we've been having with the industry players that we've been talking to is that we have to give you time. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that if you borrow money for development, we cannot expect that you're going to pay us back next year or maybe 4 years from now. So we are going to have specific. But we're going to have things in place that ensure that, for example, the minute you do get funding or a budget for your for production, we're first in line to get paid back.
Yeah.
Or if you're able to sell your work or transfer your work for funding, we are first in line to
So
get
the
the money
loan
back.
would be
Yes.
entirely dependent on the project.
On the
Yes,
project, on the
absolutely.
success of the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Development.
For development, for development and production.
Yeah, for production. Yeah, for development and production.
For development and production.
It's an equity loan.
It's got better- it's got
Which
better
was school
well.
does it count that?
Yeah, well, yeah, no.
Government.
Yeah, government doesn't do equity. So not an equity.
We don't want any right.
We don't
We don't want any equity.
Is government doing anything?
I know.
Anyway, another question.
That's all.
The fund, it's a new thing. And the quantity sounds big and nice. Is that going to be for the lifespan of how long at this point? The perception that it's, for every 5 years or every year, or it's just an
And-
experiment.
And twofold. One, for sustainability, if you get funding, you have to pay it back. Pay
No.
Pay it back. No, but he's
The
No,
government,
he's not asking
about,
how long the government is committing. to
but they're
this
committed
work.
for 2 years now.
that's my
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 2 years, but also you have to think about sustainability. So if
Right,
we're giving
sure.
funding, you're expecting that people are going to start to pay.
But
back.
I wouldn't even say 2 years because he announced it last year, March.
Yeah.
For this
This year.
current fiscal year and next fiscal year. But he did say that, so it comes down to the applications again, and I keep on
Yeah.
even telling my board this. I don't want us to make any assumptions until we see the applications that come in,
We
the
have.
types of application, the levels of money that is being asked for. Because suppose we get applications and after we go through everything, we're only paying out 400 million. Listen to me, don't make we only pay out.
Listen.
400 million. No. Remember, I said after evaluation, so it's not just about the application, it's about
It's the quality.
But what I'm
It's the
saying is that
quality.
what he has said is that if the money has to roll over to another year, he's willing to do that. The other thing, and that's what will become important in the selection process is how many actual films can we push out to show success very quickly?
Very.
Because the more success we can show,
It's
the
the
more we're guaranteed for
More money.
more money in
Yeah.
future years.
We're ready.
So we're going
You
to
ready?
have to balance, and we've already started to have the discussions even in JAMPRO.
Yep.
We're going to have to balance development versus production
Production.
versus completion
Completion.
to make sure we have, and I don't like to use this word, but it's the best word right now. No, we have a spectrum.
Ooh, I like that.
That's a what?
That's I like.
And of activities that keep on pushing out films over time and not a bottleneck in any one
Yeah.
area or category.
I have a question on number one. And I mean, this is,
single, okay.
I'm going to move from Justin because she killed me. But
Just eat.
I think it's very difficult to give a person development funds
Mhm.
to complete their development process and also production funds at the same time, because you have to approve the development fund, what the development funds have done. And the things that you're going to ask for,
Mhm.
if they are already there, then you shouldn't be applying for development, you should be applying
For production. No,
And so remember, I started that by saying that if you're applying for production, we assume that you've ticked all the
All the
boxes
boxes.
for everything that needs to come in. Now, I don't know the gamut of activities. It could be one little thing that is not tied to the documents that we have. The other thing to note is that every contract will be unique in some elements.
Mhm.
And it could be that the contract for production will clearly have criteria about the development work that we've already committed to and what needs to be done under the development work for dispersal to happen.
Yep.
So it's not everybody's contract is not going to look the same. Like we tell you that from now, so don't go for the look for your neighbor and say, oh, you have that and me don't have it. It's going to be very much based on the circumstances and what level of support you need.
Mhm.
And so, and we are stewards of the government's money and the taxpayers' money. So we have to make sure that whatever is in there, we will get the returns and the rewards that we need to get from a funding perspective. So
Yeah.
all of that would come into play when we're doing multiple applications. Yeah?
Yep.
So just a quick thing, are you partnering with a bank like Exim or like what exactly are the loan requirements?
In terms of.
I know you said it's based on individual case, but most people when they give loans, they are risk averse.
Right.
So, I mean, I've been through the gamut, it's really
Of course.
difficult if you don't have assets for them to leverage against. So you say it's based on need and maybe you don't expect to pay back within a year or even 4, but I'm hearing that this is about sustainability. So at the same time, to keep dispersing loans, you need to be rebalanced. So, do you guys have more concrete info on the loan requirements then, or?
Not at this
No,
time.
not right now.
Oh, so that's something.
And we're
that
having
we're
those
still-
conversations with those banks.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Two things. One is just a recommendation under the evaluation criteria.
Okay.
The one that has all optional, that you say you don't need those things at the time of application, but you will need them later.
So which for which
I'm
one?
just suggesting that you probably put an asterisk beside it and probably put that in the key so that we understand that that optional is eventually going to be mastered. No, it's the last one, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
for TCC. Oh, for the
It's
TCC.
there in the
What is
wording.
there in the wording? Look,
It's right there.
With asterisks.
oh, because they
All
want
right,
to.
so you want to flag it.
No
That's fine.
problem,
Yeah,
no
but I
problem.
mean, it's.
Noted. That's why I had mentioned it, because I
No,
know,
that's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah,
We take your point.
no
The other
problem.
thing was,
Yeah, the other thing was, in the case where you're talking about advocating violence or inciting violence, etc., if someone's doing a series or web series, like a Breaking Bad or Narcos, where it's about kind of more of a,
antagonist, for example, would that, would that be classified as advocating or is something like that okay?
No, because it's a genre.
No, just checking because some
Yeah.
people might say, okay.
Which tries to focus on the verb.
Yeah.
I don't
Is it
think.
inciting? No.
Sure.
It's a story. It's a narrative. It's.
I hope it's a cautionary. And just to know,
It's a cautionary tale.
just to know that even though we haven't got to evaluation yet, one of the things that we've discussed is, for example, because it will come down to the evaluator to say, what is this trying to do?
What is it
This
saying?
will be what we've said,
Yeah.
we've said we're not doing. And we might have an instance where we have 5 evaluators, 3 of them think it's okay, 2 people think it's not okay. And so the scoring is kind of out of whack. So there is a part of the evaluation process that brings all the evaluators back together to discuss those kinds of disparities. And where they can't agree on it, we reserve the right to bring in the applicant to have a discussion about any sticking points. So if that comes up as an issue, I suspect it would go through that process and the applicants would have the ability to talk to us about exactly what their vision is.
And to speak to their creative rights, right?
Yeah.
This is my vision.
I think, was there a hand over here first?
Yeah,
Oh.
just a,
Okay.
just a quick thing about disbursement. Is it gonna be lump sum or is it?
No, it's not.
No, can't be no.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's regardless of the stage.
I think maybe only like Film Talk Festival might belong. to.
Yeah, yeah. That's what they discussed.
Yeah.
But then again, you had mentioned that for each, the contracts are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah,
So that is
exactly.
also based on where you are in your, and if you already have funding, that's also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is gonna be based on a number of things in terms of disbursement.
But-
Because some people with less experience, we might have to monitor more closely.
Yeah.
And so it will vary.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 questions. One, will the slides be online? I know that the previous presentation was.
Yeah, this entire, I had mentioned it earlier, I don't know if you've heard,
Apologies.
that this is, no worries, that this is our like second iteration.
Right.
So that's going to be updated. So the full sum words are actually right here.
Oh, great, thank you.
That will be updated on the website. So yes.
Second question, if there are any specific questions to maybe your personal project, is there like a portal or email address that we can talk?
You'll see that at the end,
Oh, great, thank you.
here and then
Oh,
there.
yeah.
If you apply and you're denied, can you reapply with the same project?
We had an answer for this. In the
I think we had an answer. We have an answer.
Oh, it has to be, we have to see a substantive difference.
Yes.
In the
Yes,
application.
and then some evaluators are gonna have comments,
Yeah.
right?
One of the things that we have actually discussed doing for persons that apply and do not, or have not been selected, is that we look at kind of like the top reasons that they weren't selected.
Right.
And we're gonna do a workshop to help them for the next.
So is it
year.
a writing? Is it because of,
Yeah. So
producers?
depending on what the big
So what
issues
we-
are that
Yes.
come up.
That's what we had.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natalie, for these suggestions.
Getting feedback from the evaluation.
Would be good. Yeah, man.
Great.
And we've
Yeah.
noted that as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah, for some of them, it's what,
Like,
The evaluation
here, the
report.
evaluation comment.
to say this was denied because, this person doesn't have the gamut of experience
We
and.
could actually
their
make that
creative
section of the
team.
evaluation.
It could be.
report where
Yeah.
they could evaluate and could make a note to the applicant.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that would be amazing.
Here, and then we go back over that.
Yeah, and it's a development initiative. We have to ensure the growth
Related,
of our,
related to the production category,
yes,
my memory fades me exactly what the figures were.
150 and 30 million. So 150.
US system.
Good question.
30 million, 200 years.
200,000.
And then 65%.
Or 65, whichever is
External.
lower.
Hello.
Whichever is lower.
Sorry, go ahead.
You either get 200,000 US or
Or-
45% of the
So-
budget, whichever figure is the lower figure.
Got it. So my
Yeah.
query was this, like, in
Yeah,
your,
it's 45% of the, yeah, that's right.
kind of
Usage.
like in your experience of, understanding the markets,
Yes.
making local films.
Yeah.
Would you likely say that your preferred budget for somebody's production is like in the region of 250 grand. That would be a sweet spot. Or where would a sweet spot be for your appeal to explore?
There are no sweet spots, and everybody in the room can respond.
Well, you know, I mean,
Shannon wants to respond as well.
Let me tell you why I meant Shannon.
Shannon is burning.
Well, let me tell you why.
And sorry, you're saying that about 200 and whatever would be gifted as a loan. So you'd have to go finding.
No, there's a-
money or-
There's
There's a grant portion
Grant.
Yes.
and there's a loan
Loan
portion.
portion.
How
So,
much
So you can
are
apply for
I'm trying to
both
follow.
or one.
I'm trying to follow that area
yes,
as to what your perspective is
okay.
to get the best, chance to get the money from you guys.
So,
Shannon?
hold on, let me just give it, give the president answer. The president cannot give the industry answer.
I don't know. Is he?
No, but that's what he wants to respond. This is the first time we're doing this.
Sure.
We will never presume to know what is coming at us. And I do not, and I would not encourage us to have a sweet spot or a preference for anything without understanding what is coming at us. So we will, this is a learning process for us as well.
Sure.
We are going to have to look at applications and over time, start to understand what a successful project looks like.
Sure.
But we will not be able to say what that looks like before we've even seen the first application.
So just to query within that vein, you're saying that the grant or loan, I'm not sure which one it is.
That's fair.
Okay, eyes are not. So,
Oh, no worries.
so it's approximately 220,000 or something, right? It's up to you to find the rest and do whatever.
Then you.
Or limited to the 200.
Yeah, and that's why the financing plan, we're going to need to know if the project is $1 million and we are giving you this amount out of it, where do
Where are you gonna
you
get the rest?
expect to get the rest from?
Gotcha.
Not, it doesn't have to be that you know exactly or have a letter to say that you're getting this amount, but where are you looking to get?
So one approach would be to construct your budget to shoot for 200,000.
Could be an approach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shannon, did I steal your thought?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'm just going to say that the figures that are supported under the fund is just what we're able to give per category based on the number of projects coming in. It's not an indication of what we prefer your budget should be. You need to decide what you need to do in your project. Like this is funding that is available to you to assist in that region.
And if I might add, you know, there are a number of line producers that are in this room. So if you have a project, probably that's where you want to start if you're unsure what your budget looks like. That's what line producers do.
Yeah. And what I will tell you to add to what Sheldon said is that the only consideration we've made is that as best as possible, we try to make sure that the money will make an impact on what you're trying to do.
Yep.
The value of what we're giving. We didn't want it to be a token amount. We wanted it to be an amount that could actually do something with. So for example, us pushing for that 150 million for the loan is with the anticipation that with co-production treaties requiring 15 to 20% of the budget being supplied from a local producer, that 150 could be put up as a co-production counterpart funding, for example.
And just so you know, these numbers are going to be lower, having conversation with Canada, so that
Exactly.
they're looking at 50.
As a matter of fact,
10%.
tomorrow we have a meeting with the British High Commissioner to renegotiate co-production.
Yeah, just so you know.
We have, you spoke to Canada.
Yeah.
We're talking to Belgium, we're
Belgium.
talking to Nigeria, you spoke to South Africa. So we're trying, it's a lot of moving pieces
Sure.
and it requires us all to do our parts to kind of lift it.
All right. One before you, I know your hand was up for a while, apologies.
All right, virtual question. Are you able to apply for both the grant and the loan as a bridge gap for production?
Yeah,
Yeah, we said it.
so it's right, it's bullet number 2 says
Oh, it's
that
two.
you can.
A
you
single
can
project,
apply.
which is both from grant
Remember,
and loan available.
we're
Yes.
gonna have the option grant, loan,
Loan.
both.
Yes, we said that. Click both.
Oh, they're asking if you can expound on it.
What do you mean?
No, I think they got it.
No, yeah,
Good?
okay.
Okay, I have two questions.
Go ahead.
One is,
We're not hearing you, might have to stand.
one is,
Data voice.
who are the people who will be evaluating the projects? And the other one is, if you're making an episodic project, do you apply for the money for all the episodes or just the pilot?
So it's up to you what you apply for to answer that second question last.
And I'll also evaluate us, but I wouldn't tell you the names.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm gonna go to that. That's my next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Evaluation.
what she said is, we can't, you will never know.
You'll never know who the
who
evaluators
the
are.
evaluators are. It's not information that we make public,
Yeah.
but if one of the big things that we are taking great care about evaluators is conflict of interest.
Yep.
Okay.
And also to protect intellectual property. So those are two things that we are working through to make sure that anybody that we contract or engage as an evaluator, that those are considerations. And we've had a debate about this because it's kind of
Like, if I like something,
22.
can I go to
Exactly.
Rob because I saw Rob have a
Because
project?
we don't want to
I
exclude opportunities for you.
Yeah.
I understand why you wouldn't tell us their names or their identities, but in terms of their capabilities. to
Yeah,
do
but
it,
so
no.
to the slide.
We'll come in there.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Any dot, oh,
Just to piggyback, so if any one of us are making a pilot, can we apply for it in the development category instead of production?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yes, you mean like you just want to do the
Just
pilot.
you just want.
Yeah.
I think it was on the criteria or supporting documentation, the first slide. So you have treatment, pitch deck, project proposal, storyboard.
Animatic.
Assume a storyboard is if you're going into production, you will need a completed storyboard to apply for production funds.
Yeah, you need a Bible. For production.
Bible don't necessarily include a storyboard.
You don't all of it.
You don't need all of it. You need
No,
the whole-
and by the way, when I added these, when we're looking at these, we also wanted to make sure that it was fair for the animation as well. So, for example, we didn't have storyboard before,
Yeah.
but we needed to include storyboard and animators, what do they call it? Pitch board or pitch Bible. So the terminologies are fluid.
But we want to give you an idea
Of what?
Okay,
I didn't want to
that's kind
just.
of what I was trying to get at.
Okay.
This is a.
a catch-all.
No, it's not a catch-all because there are those that would
We
be
need to put an et cetera.
et cetera on it.
And along those lines as well, so for the work samples, there's no minimum. Does it need to be commercially, have to have been made commercially available, we call it a work sample? Yes, or?
No, it doesn't have to be, because remember, you have different persons that are applying.
Yeah.
Emerging,
Different levels.
different levels. If you're emerging, you're not going to have some.
Right, so if it were for production, it's the first time
Producing.
you wouldn't need a work sample that, or anybody on your team wouldn't need a work sample to show.
Yeah, but you want to hire a team that's, if you're going into production, your team has to be
Somebody on the
somebody on the
needs to
team,
have a
but
work.
all of you can't just brand new.
Or that might be.
That would be a challenge.
We're talking about 30 million.
That's what you mean, right? But imagine you're applying for that $30 million grant. You are a new writer, a new producer. You're gonna want to have people around you that know how to do
It
it.
changes based on your project and it changes based on how much you're applying for.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah. But you want to put your best foot forward. So if you're new and you're emerging, you wanna start.
Give yourself a
Co-producing,
fighting
give
chance.
yourself a fighting chance. It can't be everybody new coming out of Carmack or, yeah.
So
Just to make sure that. Okay. Okay, evaluation. What time are we? Is it here?
This is the longest section.
Yes, all right, evaluation. So application verification, all applications submitted will be subject to a validation check to ensure minimum eligibility criteria is met. We discussed it earlier, and all sections of the application have been completed. Should an application be ineligible, correspondence will be sent to the primary applicant advising that the application has not been accepted for consideration. You are not Jamaican. You do not have a company, but you applied for under a company. Those things, it's ineligible, right? where such an application requires amendment and an opportunity to amend and resubmit an application be extended to the applicant. So a file gets corrupted, something is unclear, we're not seeing it. I mean, you cannot be exempted. I mean, we're just gonna come to you and say, listen, we're not seeing this video file. Can you resend? Whatever. Make sense?
Yes.
Clear? Tristan?
Yeah, I'm still on the work sample.
Tristan,
When I catch up with us.
when you catch up, okay, on the work sample,
Yeah.
Natalie, answer this question for Tristan.
Why am I answering questions?
No, go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, so your lead, that is referring to the work sample of the lead applicant.
No,
I mean, the partner with
of the
somebody.
creative team, right?
Right, so that's supported document.
It's a creative team.
It's a
Yes.
creative
Maybe from the creative.
Yes,
So we can clarify that wording.
yes.
Suppose you have a director who's legal.
Yes. Well, I didn't know if that, because I'm not applying, that isn't worth as much. Because I'm not the lead applicant.
Oh, I see what you're
The lead
saying.
applicant doesn't have the real. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
Right, so
Which is-
if the
which is
person
what we
is
need
the
to
lead
make clear.
applicant, that person would have the additional. And you are what, the attachment?
I'm saying.
The other way around,
The other way
okay.
around. But then, and that, but that also shows commitment if they're willing to put forward their work.
That's what I'm saying.
Their application.
So,
But also supporting documentation of work product may not necessarily be a real, fair right to you have.
you have a script,
Yeah.
script or something, yeah. And then you can show that you've won an award and you've been entered into, I'm just saying, what do you think?
If that's the
Is that
case. If that's the case.
Supporting document, all right. Application,
Just to clarify, so say I've never,
Tristan, you see what you do now?
exactly.
if I've never directed anything before, but
Hold on, guys.
if I've never directed something before, but my producer has directed something, you're saying that because the producer is part of the creative team, we can show that.
Absolutely, it's a
Yes.
part of your team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so it counts.
It absolutely has to.
So we'll update this wording to show that it's previous work samples of the creative.
Of the creative team. That helps, right, Tristan?
Yeah.
Creative team. All right. Application evaluation, so development, production, completion support. Application will be assessed by JSDI Evaluation Committee, which is a panel of minimum 5 local and international film and industry experts possessing the requisite knowledge and expertise to evaluate applications and provide recommendations for the award of funding. They ensure projects are in alignment with JSDI's objective criteria and of course the fiduciary practices. Competencies of the evaluation committee, right, answers that question. We're talking about international sales and acquisition, cinematography, film and history, local and international film production, film studio operations management, film financing, script development, film festival programming and selection, film production, public relations, local and international film production, talent management and representation, industry promotion. So Sheldon and I were in Berlin for the last 2 weeks, and we've met with a number of persons that are part of the diaspora or not, and they're interested in helping and giving back as much as possible from different levels. Right? So, and we've asked a number of persons, and that's not one person that I've asked, would you like to be a part of the evaluation committee, said no.
So the one thing that's missing from here that we have discussed is intellectual property rights as well.
Oh, yeah,
Intellectual property rights.
intellectual property rights. For the competencies of the evaluation committee.
And there would be a mix and match of the competencies depending on the application type. So development might have a different mix from production,
Exactly.
from completion. And it's possible that this, for different application, it doesn't have to be the same 5 people doing multiple applications, because it's going to be a mix and match, depending on competencies.
Good evening, Earl Smith here, Jenna.
Hey Earl, how are you?
The information provided on screen, can it be online?
Yeah,
we're gonna upload.
Yeah, man,
We're gonna upload it. Definitely.
All right, application evaluation, film festival, market attendance, marketing and distribution, and production rebate. There will be a rolling acceptance of application by JAMPRO, and we're evaluated individually and funded where the decision is favorable. And that's because, again, this is repetition again. scrolling. Evaluation criteria. Ooh. Track record of the application, right? So we're looking at the criteria and the descriptions. So track record of the applicant, demonstrated track record and ability of the creative or team. Tristan, you see this one?
Yes, so this is where
the answers that question, right? To execute production or market completed projects, track record of the production company or the individual, because remember you can apply as individual or the company, track record of creative team, including the director, writer, remember you're asking that question. Answers that question, business viability of applicant company, and then we have feasibility of the project, right? Feasibility of the project with respect to the budget, financing, the schedule, the scope, creative and commercial merit of the project and potential for critical and commercial success. We're talking about originality, quality, production readiness of the script and the director's vision for the film, and of course, the quality of the footage. We want quality stuff, right? Because we're gonna have a lot of applicants, but we don't want just quantity. We want quality. All right, commercial attractiveness and viability, demonstration of market interest and global marketing strategy. Guys, you can go get up and drink some juice, and have some coffee. Everybody just, right? Demonstration of market interest and global marketing strategy includes marketing and business plan with intended audience, marketability, international sales and distribution potential with any letters providing those market interests. Benefits to the Jamaican economy. This is under potential to benefits to Jamaica and the Jamaican film industry. Good job, Tristan. Benefits to the Jamaican economy, including projected Jamaican expenditure, of course, number of Jamaicans employed in the production process, because hello, total projected number of days for employment for Jamaicans, ownership by Jamaicans, cultural value for Jamaica.
We're just gonna ask that all questions be held until after the section. Thank you.
Please. Thank you.
Evaluation consideration, category development. So
Hold on, sorry. Before we leave criteria, just a couple of things to know. The weighting of these 4 elements will vary depending on the category.
Yeah.
So for development projects where we expect to see a lot of new first-time emerging persons, track record might not have the same heavy weighting as it does on the production. And there might be elements of this that we might not even look into at all. So business viability won't be applicable to an individual applicant, for example. Feasibility of projects they're weighted in such a way that a project that might be a little bit less on feasibility or a little bit less on commercial viability has the potential to make up points on social value.
Right.
For example,
benefits of Jamaica,
or the benefits to Jamaica, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we've done the weighting in such a way that even though some projects, some applications might drop in areas, there is the ability to build up in another area to make it more balanced and to make sure that we have a diversity in the amount of applicants. Exactly.
Right? Justine?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, we're not taking any questions.
Shannon is not going to have that.
Shannon says no. No, we're not finished.
We're not finished. Evaluation consideration, the 3rd page.
First.
Yeah. Oh, the first of the evaluation consideration. So categories, we're going to break down the categories. So that you have an idea of what are the requirements, right? Development support must have a clear concept and vision, must demonstrate clear understanding of development needs and timelines, must demonstrate estimated project feasibility, viability, and market potential, be ideally and wholly or partially set in Jamaica thematically. Projects awarded for funding must be wholly or partially produced in Jamaica. And I know we had some serious discussions around this because animatic or animation here could just sit in New York and not, just be taking the funding that is, the base of this is for the Jamaican local creatives, right? So we want to ensure that those on the ground and the creatives on the ground are benefiting. Make sense?
Yes.
Good.
And when all else fails, We know that we don't have a lot of strength when it comes to penalizing breach of contract, but we're gonna have a black sheet of paper called the blacklist of people that if any breaches will not be able to apply for future funding.
Yep.
And we're gonna take that very
Very
seriously
seriously.
because that's the only thing that we have as leverage.
Production support, have a write-up producer and director attached. Engage a local film production company to facilitate in-island logistics and execution of the production. Minimum 50% below the line Jamaican crew hire. I know I'm going to get some pushback with my animators here just because of the amount of talent across the board. In terms of, I know, but I got some emails today about saying that I don't know if I'm going to. Yeah, so that's something that we need to look at.
Is that 50% just the pure number of people?
Yes.
Below the line, but
Yeah.
right, but I know for film it's good, but for the animation, that's where it is, just because of the amount of.
So we look forward to the feedback and the input on this.
Yeah.
We might have to have a different
criteria
breakout for
animation.
if this is, if
Kevin?
there's a strong opposition to this.
So I was just talking about the minimum below the line for the,
Oh, that one.
yeah, so we might have to do an additional breakout.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What about?
All right, wholly or partially set in Jamaica thematically, definitely for production support. Completion, post-production support must have completed principal photography and demonstrate proof of same, which means I would need to see, right? Your final cut. Projects awarded funding must, and I know it is repetitive, but I need to say it, have been wholly or partially produced in Jamaica or spend a minimum of 40% with Jamaican goods and service providers.
40%.
Yes, 40%, yep, of that budget. Film festival and market attendance, the requirements must demonstrate acceptance to film festival or relevant exhibition activity. So you're not just going because you hear that can, it's wonderful, and you're not going to Toronto and tip because you hear the parties nice and the after parties are nice. You have to be accepted in the film festival, okay? Marketing and distribution must demonstrate plan for distribution and marketing, must have a commitment or agreement from a sales agent, marketing and agency. I know I got some nudge about this as well, and I said, part of my job is also to approach and go to my president and say, I need some, funding where I could perhaps bring in, right, a sales agent, because we need my creatives need to have access to that sort of markets, right? They're gonna say to me, my creatives been saying to me, they don't have access to the sales agent, and going on Google is not sufficient, President Cox. Try. Production rebates must have benefited from any other, must not, that not need to be capital. So production rebate, guys, must not have benefited from any disbursements, any other disbursement. So if you got money from development, production or completion, you cannot get money down here. You cannot double dip like that. So if you come in for rebate, because the rebate is at the end.
No question.
All right, must have letter of commitment agreement from a distributor or contract signing. Minimum spend is how much? 500,000
in Jamaica.
In Jamaica or on Jamaican goods and services.
US, yes.
500,000
US.
Engage a local film production company to facilitate an in-island logistics and execution of the production.
This is for overseas.
And this is for, yeah.
Which one is for overseas?
Well, in local production.
Company, they must
have to engage a local production company.
Well, everybody has.
Yeah, but
they can have their,
twice.
yeah. Minimum of 50% below the line, Jamaican crew hired, minimum of 20% higher above the line, head of department, key creative or lead talent, must be ideally wholly or partially set in Jamaica thematically, must facilitate job shadowing and training of local crews to include my interns, of course, or for relevant tertiary institutions of students. That is tantamount to the success of the industry. Not taking any questions. Yes. Yes. Evaluation consideration. Applicants to the JSDI must meet the product eligibility criteria, have the writer attached, have a minimum writer producer attached for any stage post development. Come from a creative team where there's writer, producer, if applicable, director all over the age of 18, have secured or can secure the rights, including any underlying rights. We're talking about the intellectual property of a project here. The rights do not have to be in place at application. And I know that Natalie has suggested that perhaps it needs to be at development. So that's something we can discuss. But you have to have demonstrably confident that you will be able to irrevocably option the rights during development as precondition to signing a contract to access the funds. That is clear, right? And then we look at disbursement.
I was trying.
I tried.
Hold on. I kind of stopped your question.
Yeah, very neatly, by the way.
Yeah, very neat.
I didn't try.
Okay, so I have an animation project.
Mhm.
You're saying if 50% of the animator spend should be in Jamaica.
Yes.
I guess. So if I hire,
40%
Where?
for production.
yeah, for
Yeah.
production.
For production.
Minimum.
No, that's completion. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
if I-
we're coming back to this.
If I locate a company in Jamaica, operating in Jamaica,
Yes,
Jamaican owned,
yes.
but there are 40 animators from Pakistan working there. Is that still viable? They're here, they're living in Jamaica, they were brought over on contract. But it's a Jamaican animation company.
That's how animation.
It's a
That's what-
Jamaican animation company.
But this is why, and that is why
That happens everywhere.
production as well, the 40%, yeah. So maybe we can move, and that is what I had noted before. And that is, and remember I had mentioned this, that I've gotten emails about this, because we know that we don't have a lot of animators on the ground.
Yes.
So there has to.
But there are contracts.
But
all
there are
sorts of
contracts,
with the
of
company,
course.
the company in
I know.
Jamaica, is an animation company, but
Yeah.
they're all foreign animators who work there.
So give me the scenario again.
So it's a Jamaican
Jamaican
company
company,
registered in
registered
Jamaica,
Uh-huh.
but they employ foreign animators on the contract who are living here,
In
not working
Jamaica.
remotely.
Yeah.
They're here in country.
Yeah,
Been here for-
so they're going,
You got it.
because one thing we have to correct here is the spend in Jamaica.
Mm.
So it doesn't.
So you
have
take those
to-
animators, they
Exactly.
go down to sovereign and buy
And we
what.
actually said it.
We
We said that they paid the
They pay the JPS
they
bill,
paid the
water bill,
NWC bills.
They might be
By
stamped with
supermarket.
That'll be bad.
yes.
And is it likely that those individuals would be considered ordinary resident in Jamaica as well?
It could be
Well,
just
if-
No,
well,
Okay, that length of time.
the time.
if they're
which
working-
means that we might have to account
Oh,
for
that'd
work
be
permits.
great.
Yes, for the ordinary.
Oh, for.
Right. Here and,
For the last.
did you have your hand on? Are you changing? it?
Wait, I'm sure that this had, while the presentation was being made, she had.
No, somebody.
Kevin, is Kevin?
So let's do this. Kevin, then we go to young lady
And
there,
it's
and then we come back.
Yeah, just a virtual question. Somebody just wanted to clarify for the film festival.
Market attendance, yeah.
They just want to clarify, so they can't apply for funds to submit to festival.
No.
No,
It's to go.
you have to be.
Absolutely, you have to be
Already
accepted.
accepted.
Yes.
I noticed that there's nothing about AI generated, anything on it. I know that there was something about the IP or having the right to it.
Yeah.
So I understand that the finished product probably couldn't be AI.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a proof of concept or just treatment, like concept art for a treatment, could that be AI generated?
Is it going to be an animated short?
For example, like there's Black Panther or like those big movies where you need something, you need a 3D artist or whoever.
No, but will it, at the end, will it qualify under one of the eligible criteria?
Yeah.
Yeah, it will qualify
Yes.
eventually.
Then yes, then
Remember
it's
what
a
I
proof
said
of
before.
concept. So it
If
might be
falls
eligible.
under that,
Mhm.
then
What with that?
it's fair game for an application.
It's okay for application.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
as a proof of concept, yes.
Shonda?
Right, just following up with you.
What's your name? Because he's saying young lady and you. Savvy.
Seven.
Yeah.
7.
All right, Seven, based on the words that you've used in your question, you would provide a treatment, and if you are using AI generated images as a proof of concept in the treatment, then yes, it is applicable because you still own the IP of the idea. You're just using AI to generate.
To generate it.
Yeah, the
that you
visuals.
have not yet created.
Exactly.
Because you own the script.
Again,
The AI script.
it's proof of concept.
Okay, sorry.
Yes. Oh, Sharonda, you're next.
All right, so where it says we ideally wholly or partially set in Jamaica, thematically. So we can flip it to Trinidad? No, it says thematically.
Because
So what that mean?
Which one you're looking at? Production?
Yes, production somewhere.
But it also goes on to talk about the Jamaican crew.
Yeah. So you have to hire, so you're going to bring a Jamaican.
You're gonna bring
the
all
whole of them
of
too.
them?
Yeah, no, I just want clarity.
No, but that's why the whole of them Trinidad, like Trinidad.
I just want them to
Trinidad, it's the rebates.
No, but send them to Trinidad to film it because for whatever reason we take it to Trinidad, then the length of time that they're there working.
No, so I did note to Jackie that we actually, the bullet that we have for completion, a part in the bracket at the bottom.
Yes.
Should have also
Also
gone for production.
So it says, because
So that
project,
40%
yes.
budget spend
Has to be.
is critical.
Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah. Nice.
Next page.
Sorry, but another point to make about that, the ideally wholly or partially set, is that we will consider projects that might be a story about Haiti,
Right.
but you're filming it in
Jamaica, because you can't shoot it. So you can't shoot it.
As basically as long as the money is here and it's
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
And we get to send a film in Jamaica.
Amen.
It's a question that's a little out of category, but it's very short.
Okay.
So, one of the difficult things for the producers to do is really the budgeting and breakdown of the script. And that comes under production. And then there's a category of development. So doing a budget-free development is very simple, but breaking down the script is very time-consuming and a big task. So if you have the idea that you already have your pre-development almost there, could you say in development, you're going to ask for the approval for budgeting breakdowns for the script in production to present it for production? In other words.
I think we did say that.
Okay.
In the categories.
And in the supporting.
No, you're saying that it has to be supplied in production. But
Yes.
No, but we said it was optional in development.
In development, it's
Because
right
one
here.
of the things we said
No.
is that,
I have a different question, I think.
which one? You budget breakdown, you
Trying to
said?
clarify the question, like, I'm trying to get a breakdown of the script. As part of development to go into production.
Right.
So I'm saying, would I apply for the funds to break down a script in development?
In development, yes.
Translated over.
Sorry. The answer is yes to that question, yes. So you would
That's
definitely
one of the-
So
apply.
you'd have
One of the
fundamentally
activities.
apply to both if you wanted just that last element to carry on.
And then that's where I think I responded to, it might have been Natalie, to say that we, in the contract, we would clearly state that that work has to be done before any disbursement is done for production.
Because you would have.
So we have to meet those criteria. yeah.
Right, but you.
So we put that in the
You
contract.
join pre-development to.
Yeah.
Production and just time.
I won't take a lot of time, but just the rebates, I think that has to be looked at again.
No,
Yeah, I think we have to look into the rebates because we don't know when you're applying for the rebate.
Mhm.
If it's going to be on a card, it's going to be just rolling.
No matter what we say, it's rolling, it's rolling, we said
Rebate
that.
has to be rolling.
Yeah,
we
But
said that, we
it's
said that.
also the things that you're asking for,
Okay.
like distribution, it's not
It's not
always,
realistic.
it's not always done before you want the rebate money. A lot of times you take that rebate money and and then go out to distribute.
Yeah, but you.
Yeah, or
It's just not
in
realistic.
which case, take the distribution
Time money.
first.
Well, it's not, you know.
Except
That's not how it
It's not, it's not.
except that they would have been blocked if they took the distribution.
So let's apply.
Because, you know, with the-
Yes, yes.
Let's look at that.
You won't always have.
And the rebate,
So
and
you
the
didn't, but you didn't give me any comments yesterday.
And the rebate funds will take a while because it's an
Yes,
audit.
yes.
And, you know, so we can't stay back
Got
until
it.
after something else.
Okay.
Once you finish the film and say, this is the finished thing. I mean, we've shot it. We need to reach it. We need.
Let's have a conversation.
Let's talk about
I'm not 100%.
Okay, I understand.
I'm also,
Thank you.
sorry, I had back there and here. You, yes.
Oh, this question is with the production rebate. Is it retroactive to any films or productions, even like recently, like some kind of date
No.
coming into the March 18th, or it has to be with?
It has to be after my.
Nice try. You tried that. You tried that. Good job. You are creative, aren't you?
Go ahead.
My question is, why, if you benefited from the fund, why can't you also benefit from the production?
Because we gave you money for production, so we gave you 150 million
So I can
for
give-
production, and your budget was 200 million.
Mhm.
I know you're asking me to give you a rebate based on the money
I gave you.
Right, but remember, there's also that whole other part that we have to finance elsewhere, depending on the.
But remember that our objective is to spread it as wide as
Yes.
possible. You benefited significantly before. A little bit unfair, it is, yeah, and we're talking about a lot of other potential.
Last question?
Okay, is there a time limit? Once you get the funding, you have X amount of months to produce the final film, or can you just go on for like next 15?
So
That's about you.
it's based on your based on your application and what you told us, and then what you told us was going to go into the contract.
Okay, well, what we tell you would also impact the evaluation criteria, right?
Yes.
So if it's too long, you guys might have said it's a great project, but it's probably, we can't wait 10 years for you to film it. Okay.
Or we might tell you just apply another time.
Apply the third tranche.
So I, so
As long as the project is produced after March 28th, we can apply for the rebate. We don't apply for any other categories.
after March
She said
18th.
She said 28.
No, I don't want it to get the wrong date.
Talk about the rebate. Talk about
Yeah,
the
you
rebate.
can. We'll have to look at whether or not, it has to be done after March
Yeah.
18th, but I
March
think once
18th.
it's after March.
Yeah, March 18th only. Yeah.
So that's completion. So if it started before, but you completed it after, you can apply for the
You can
rebate.
apply.
Yes. Disbursement. Applicants that have been recommended for and by the evaluation committee will have to be recommended by the oversight committee for approval by JAMPRO Board of Directors. Successful applicants will then be notified of selection and provided with draft contract documentation for review. Again, call for projects closed April 28th. Evaluation committee review and selection application for recommending for funding. Then it goes to the oversight committee, reviews and then confirms that recommendation. Then it has to go back, of course, guys, to the JAMPRO Board of Directors, which review and approve recommendation, and then off to disbursement of funding and signing of the contract.
All right, a couple of things to note. We pointed out that anything over 60 million has to also go to cabinet after it goes to JAMPRO board. I also want to make something very clear, the distinction, and we have to update the documents with this. There's a distinction between what the oversight committee will be doing and the JAMPRO board. So the evaluators, as I said before, they're evaluating and giving a score. And that's all they're doing. They're not selecting and they're not saying, give it to Peter and John. Once that report is done, then that goes to the oversight committee and we lay on at that level how much money we have to do the different activities. The oversight committee is a public-private sector committee. And actually, we're looking at it now at JAMPRO board as a very good best practice for how to grow industry. So once again, you guys are leading the way. Woo! But we have, and I think it's all but agreed. I just need the board to agree next week, Wednesday, but the chairman is on board, the the chair of the oversight committee is on board, that the oversight committee will have all jurisdiction over technical decisions. So decisions having to do with the applications that are technical. Where JAMPRO board comes in, they approve the budget. So they approve the money allocation just from a fiduciary perspective, but they don't get to say, when they get the list of 10 companies to be funded 40 million, they don't get to say, we're not giving it to JAMPRO. They don't get involved in that at all. The only decision that they can get involved in is to say, okay, based on what you're showing me, I don't think we can afford 40 million. It might have to be 36 million. At which point it goes back to the oversight committee to see how the list changes to fit the 36 million. So I want to make that very clear that JAMPRO board is not getting involved and dabbling in the technical side of the decisions for the fund. And let me just throw it in there for good measure. The minister and the ministry, none of the 3 ministers that were there at the launch have a role in this process at all. The only time they're going to get involved is that when we go to cabinet for approval, it's going to be a cabinet submission by Minister Hill. That's the only time that they will get involved.
I will just ask this question and I say one thing about that. A budget for a film is a 38-page document. And I do not think the members of the board, I mean, they look at the bottom line.
That's what
they won't be looking at the details.
No.
So how do they make a decision?
But remember, when we do the evaluation will rank or score in rank order each application with the amount of money that the applicant asks for, right? So all of that comes together. What the board is approving is the total amount.
It's a total amount. Yeah. I don't think that other committees should send them anything over the money that you have.
So who's the oversight committee?
So the oversight committee is chaired by one of our board directors. Max Dragon is a director of Rainforest. It has 3 JAMPRO board members on it, and then it has industry players. So Justine sits on it, Saeed sits on it. We also have
Cordial Green.
Judith Albergo. Well, yeah, we have MCGS is on it, Ministry of Finance is on it, our permanent secretary from our ministry. So it's truly a public-private sector board.
And
yes, both of us are ex officio.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so bear with me a little bit, my bad is convoluted, but hear me. So like when you're getting a grant from, let's say IDB, let's say, and they say you need to be able to identify a certain percentage of it. But you can identify that in consultants who are willing to give their consultation work for free. Can we do the same thing with this? So in other words, if my actual budget is $10 and I come to you for 45% of that, and I can negotiate with my crew to get it done for the 45% that I get from you, is that allowed?
So you're gonna have a financing plan, right? So your big financing plan is going to show us at 45%, and it might show another 25% in kind, if that's what it is.
Yes.
But the in kind has to be valued, because we have to show that it's not an inflated amount or anything.
Yeah.
But yes, it can be in kind as long as it's valued at market value.
Perfect.
Because your sister might have a good thing going with costuming.
Yes.
For example.
And she going to hair or makeup, and she's
exactly.
happy to help. But we also have to get in the habit of creating the budgets at a certain
yes, at market value.
And so you get a real budget, but I'm able to negotiate to get some of those costs reduced.
But and you raise a very good point, because that in kind or the intention to make it in kind is very important signal. So that at the tail end, you're not saying, oh yes, I know I told you 10,000 for these 3 people, but it was in kind, because kind of breaks down a relationship, right?
Right,
Yeah,
which is
of
why I
course.
asked, so that we're.
Yeah,
That's a very good point.
That's
That's a very good point.
Exactly, because it is important.
Just clarity on what you said. So the amount that will be distributed will come up to 45%. So somebody who is working on it, they said, I won't take a salary, I'll take part ownership. So I can say, because he's going to not charge a salary, that covers some of the 55%.
Yes.
But you have to value it at market value.
Yeah.
At market. the
Yes.
Work wage, the wage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Shannon?
Just to confirm, we're clarifying that even though the limit is 45%, you're not guaranteed to get.
That's a price.
Oh, yes, the air price on it. Hopeful.
Are we finished the
Yes.
section
Yes.
on disbursement?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
No, we're disbursement, we're done. So we're on to contracting process, 809.
Okay.
Where applicable, proof of tax compliance, we mentioned this TCC will be mandatory, along with proof of other funding sources. Contract for awardees may include obligations of the awardee, including but not limited to delivery of the products. And this is contracts, we just kind of discussed some of these. Delivery of the product, including the timelines, delivery of other commitments, report to the JSDI. And this is going to vary, as we've said, from an emerging, new student, etc. Disbursement requirements, the process and timelines, loan repayment guidelines, of course, if applicable. Disbursement will be made, I'm saying that because you may apply for a grant, right? Disbursement will be made in Jamaican currency, except for the instance of marketing and distribution and production rebates where appropriate. All final distribution amounts and schedules will be approved by JAMPRO.
And that is to reiterate what you put in the application as your schedule, as your amount, it's up for negotiation.
Governance structure, JAMPRO Board of Directors, JSDI Oversight Committee, we have JSDI Evaluation Committee, Jamaica Film Commission, and JSDI Project Office. Key dates and timelines, I know everyone is apprised of this because, yes, February 8th, March 2, so February 28th is today. Okay. Call for applicants, March 18, closes April 28th, contract signed August 31st.
No, application and review.
Oh,
You just skipped it. You just skipped it.
yes, and then we reach contract signed August 31st. Because that's where we want to get to. Yeah, yes.
Just one thing to note about the contracts. We are hoping,
No, I'm going back, guys. I'm so sorry.
we are hoping to have the draft contracts, just the skeleton, ready. And I say hoping with capital.
Look at
hope.
Sharon over there.
Like capital hope, right, Sharon?
Sharon.
The good thing is for legal advice, we don't need the usual government procurement process. So we're hoping to have the contracts at least in draft.
Right.
At some point during the application process, so people can start to see it.
Have an idea.
And it would include some of the elements about disbursements of loans that you need to get details on. And so it will also make it easier for negotiation once award has happened.
Shalon, do you have any additional questions as we are wrapping up from online?
Collating.
Collating?
Collating.
Is collating no still? All right, everyone took this. All right, so of course, guys, this is a continuous conversation with the stakeholders. You are our stakeholders. So at any given time, please feel free to email us, jsdi@dobusinessjamaica.com. There is, I know a number of persons have been emailing me directly too, and that's fine. You can also call us here, and on the Do Business Jamaica website is where we have the other iteration, which we will update. And so we have another round of consultation in regards to today's presentation. And I know there are going to be recommendations coming. Rob had just made some points. So I know I'm going to be like, Rob, what do you mean? And then guys, if you have any inputs, any recommendations, please do reach out and share with us. I want to thank everyone for being here. I'm not necessarily just wrapping up this second. I want to thank everyone for being here. It's a really big turnout. which of course I expected. I want to thank.
How many people we have online, Charlotte?
How many people we have online now?
We're down to 60.
60.
60.
60.
No,
To 60. No, so there was 70.
From 70.
Yes. So a number, I was up at 5 a.m. this morning sending links. So, so this is fabulous. I wanna, this wouldn't be possible without the stakeholders. You guys have committed a lot of time. I know even last night I was talking to Kevin, Kenya, Justine, you know, took time out of her day yesterday. I just want to thank every one of you for, because this is collaborative, right? And I'm grateful for the inputs. I guess this is long time coming. You know, President Cox, I know, cancels some meeting every couple of weeks. It's like we're stealing half of your day. So I'm grateful to every single one of us. We're all stakeholders in this room. And we want to produce high quality content. And we want to put ourselves.
And we want to get a couple billion more.
More, exactly. A couple billion more. Thank everyone for coming out. We have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of conversations from. No.
Who's for today of the JSDI?
We're
going out to tender for a project manager and also a solution manager as well. So that's going to help us, and so that's to come. So a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Starting on the 18th of March.
Yeah, indeed.
So we have refreshments. I suspect that we'll also have conversations. And we'll perhaps have to just, if there's something that everybody needs to know, we just have to stop and but we will be updating our website, so keep your eyes peeled on that. And of course, keep the questions that come coming.
Because coming out of this conversation, I know we had some questions, but the questions that I got from the emails, we basically answered them. Okay, so guys, for Saturday, we're looking at 4 p.m. We're looking at 4 p.m. but I may have for those who are interested in, there's an event that's going to be.
Guys, Jackie's talking. Can you please, thank you?
Yeah. So I know that we have the second sensitization session. So I'm going to announce that 4:30 will be in here Saturday. So I'm bringing in TAJ. They've said yes, MC Jess. And I'm also bringing in Sony Pictures, Paramount. So Sony and Paramount, they will be online. We're talking about distribution and we're talking about just access to the market and what are these companies looking for.
We're going to check in the company's office.
And we're also going to, yes, man, we're going to send that out by tomorrow evening. So you can join, you can come in person. We'll have the same amount of seating, so that's 7 persons, please. RSVP. Lanisha is the young lady over there that you are emailing with, Lanisha. She's our support office and support officer in the Film Commission. So would love to have the same cohort come in on Saturday. And again, if you're not able to join, please join online.
And we'll be posting the recording.
And we'll be posting this recording as well on our website. Right? Both of them, so you have access to that. So it's gonna be fun. Please go. Friday, Saturday is going to be amazing. You have the question. So no problem. Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate you.